Greetings and salutations once again, everybody. My name is DarkHitX1, bringing you back another volume of RWS Customs. And today we are looking at Ferdinand. Now, I already know that y'all kind of have an idea who Ferdinand is. There's only one Ferdinand in the Thomas the Tank Engine universe, and he's basically a stereotype of sorts. Well, borderline stereotype, but he's also limited in vocabulary to just that's right. But, as you've already seen, a lot of things changed in my AU, and one of those things is Ferdinand's character as a whole, and his physical being. First off, he is a 7F from the Somerset-owned Dorset Joint Railway, built, I believe, in Derby from the Midland Railway, and was probably the largest thing built by the Midland until they got rid of their small engine policy. Now, the 7Fs were notoriously known for their work on the S&D, specifically going over the banks and piloting certain trains. And it kind of made sense to have this fella for Misty Island, considering what it is in my AU, which is an extension. It's kind of like what Hamilton is to the United States. It's an island that borders off the coast a bit, but not enough to where it can't be connected to by rail, at least in this sort of universe. And it's also fairly larger than it actually is shown, because we never actually saw the full Misty Island experience. We only saw it from the rail point of view, but it's probably way larger. And it's definitely at its largest in this universe of mine. So, enough with the chatter, let's get a quick turnaround of them. You can see all the fittings, from safety valve to dome, to the special radio, and the valve gear. Originally, his lining on the tender was mainly meant to mimic the TV series adaptation's lining. But when I rebuilt him, because in the past he was a lot smaller than he is now, he generally had that style. But when I was rebuilding him, I had recently rebuilt Nia, and I was like, I like the black line to look with the more standardish form. So, keeping with that standardish livery form, the lining flows across the entire body in a more neat and tidy fashion than just straight line. And I like it. Now then, that all done, let's get into one other aspect of this model, which is the only downside. He's too long. Like, most of the 7Fs were like, I believe, in the lower 60s, if not just below 60 foot. But he's bigger than my Peter model. Like, give me a second to grab it. Okay, so here he is next to the Peter model, and you can already see that the length of Ferdinand dwarfs Peter by a bit, and he's the size of Gordon. That's the only issue. He's just longer than he should be. I mean, he's accurate 100% in terms of every other fitting, but length compared to the others, no. So that's the only downside, but it's one I can live with because he still looks brilliant, and it's only a minor issue. It's not something major that needs to be fixed, and it doesn't affect him in any way, shape, or form. Well, technically it does. And you can hear tech support back there doing his thing. Give me a sec. But anyways, it's high time we get into the comparisons. So we've already seen him next to Peter. Over here he is, next to recently rebuilt Nia. Looking much better in terms of lining being red and blending well with the orange, plus the black accentuating it. And she looks a lot more like a 944 class, which I definitely think was a smarter decision on my part to rebuild her. And fun fact, each of these upcoming rebuilds has kept their original face, including Ferdinand here. And then we have Emily, who I've just rebuilt. If you read her story, you know that she wasn't always a she. But here she is. The main issue with the original Emily model was that it was built during a time where I didn't know what I was doing. But now that I've had practice, I've managed to make a more clean-looking Sterling Single-esque shape. Even if it doesn't have that distinctive upwards curve over the driving wheel. It's still sterling, and it's still beautiful. That is one way to put it. But anyway. Next, we have the inspiration for the cab lining on Ferdinand, Bert, who is about to make another appearance in the next chapter coming Sunday. I still can't get over how good the LNER 02 really fits. And putting these two side by side, I would really want to see a 7F and an 02 in an image, just sitting side by side across from each other, symbolizing Midland design practice and, well, the Great Northern design practice. But now, speaking of the Great Northern, let's go into one of the later additions to the merged company that the Great Northern will become a part of, Rex, or P2 Maximus. Yeah, he's always going to be bigger. Even when Mike is getting rebuilt, he's still going to be shorter than him in length. So, that is generally it for today. Sorry for the whole loopy schedule thing, but school and a lot of other things are running me ragged into the ground, so things might get a little spontaneous, but I will try my best to reel it back in, and I do apologize for the delays. With that being said, this has been DarkX1, and I shall see you next video. Goodbye!